Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a Tuesday, March 5th edition of Established to Run's NBA DFS Injury Analysis Show. I am Mark Dankenbring, as always, joined here by Mike Gallagher on this fine Tuesday. How you feeling today, Mike? We got a 9-game slate ahead of us, some solid games on the docket. My Cavs on TNT, and then your Phoenix Suns against also kind of half my Denver Nuggets in Denver tonight. So some fun games on the docket. How you doing today?
Yeah, feeling pretty good. 5 teams on the front end of a back-to-back, so it'll be tough to do matchups. And I had a crazy work related dream last night that I wanted to share. So we do these shows, right? I had a dream that just like everything went bad, and so Nurk's gonna play. So like I was trying to do a stream, and no one else could join it. I couldn't use this microphone, so I had to use my AirPods. People were complaining, and then my screen went out, so I couldn't even like see anything. So I had to do this injury show without any notes, without my microphone working, without anything working, and I like was just doing it blindly, and I was like freaking out. So it was like a work related nightmare, which this is tied to Drew Dinkmeyer and I. I had like tech issues when we did 2 pods ago, so this is all stemming from that. But it was pretty crazy. I was just like losing it
That's
from
so funny.
doing an injury show. Like I have work. I'm sure most people listening too. You have like the work related dreams that are like bad,
I was
and
about to
I had one
say,
of those.
yeah. Then when Drew initially left, and we were kind of, I did like my first injury show that week. I actually had a similar dream where we were like trying to stream an injury show from the
Mhm.
sidewalk, like doing it from the phone, and I couldn't stream and even read the injury report from my phone at the same time. So it was like flying blind and pitching it to you, and you didn't have a rundown either. And it was a mess. That's hilarious. These are our nightmares.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
injury show.
I remember I was like, "Is this even going out?" Like, I didn't know because I didn't like my screen wasn't working. It was just, and I kept talking and talking and talking, and I was like, "Hope this is." I kept saying like, "Hope this is going out." So, but yeah, this will go smoother than my dream, for sure. We do have
Let's
some big injuries to talk about today.
Yeah, let's hope. 9 games on the slate, and most games have decent injury information to cover. So let's get right into it. First game we'll talk about is Orlando Magic at the Charlotte Hornets. It is the front end of a back-to-back for Orlando. The Magic just ruled out Markel Fultz with left knee injury management, and then they'll also be without Jet Howard, Kevin Harris, and Trevelin Queen, who are out for G League assignment. We've seen Fultz miss for this injury management of late. Any new notes to add for Orlando and how they'll deal with the absence of Markel Fultz?
Yeah, back to back. They get Washington tomorrow, so they're gonna hold him out and let him skip the homecoming game. He's from the area, so yeah, and not surprising. Kind of expected him to sit out one of these 2 games, so that should get Anthony Black in the rotation a little bit more. For Cole Anthony, we'll see if they could extend Suggs. Garrett Harris's mids have been pretty solid here, expecting obviously the same starting lineup. Jonathan Isaac, we saw him return after a knee scare last week, so he's good to go there. But yeah, they're pretty deep. They're playing pretty good basketball again here. This should be 2 games. They, despite being road back to backs, you know, couldn't pick much better opponents here. Charlotte's offense can't score, so it should be a. They probably only need like 105 to get the
Mm-hmm.
win today.
Yeah, and Charlotte is without a ton of players as well, even cutting down the depth of their rotation even more. On the Hornets side, Mark Williams, LaMelo Ball are still out, and then Seth Curry and Cody Martin are new adds to the out page as well. Cody Martin going to be out for a few weeks. Seth Curry, I think, out a minimum of 2 weeks as well, so they will not be around for the next several games for Charlotte. And then Amari Bailey and Leaky Black remain out on G League assignment. And then finally, we have Nick Richards, questionable here with right plantar fascia discomfort. We saw him miss last game, and Grant Williams get 40 minutes as the starting center. So any insight here on Richards' potential availability to play tonight? And going up against kind of a bigger team in Orlando that is really strong in the paint, do you expect Charlotte, if Richards does miss, to approach the center position any differently tonight rather than trotting out the undersized Grant Williams?
Yeah, I think they would go the same route. Misic should get his first start in his since getting drafted. Like he was a draft and stash. So
Mm-hmm.
the broadcast joke that is this like the longest someone's had to wait since they've been drafted for an NBA start. That was pretty funny. So yeah, not too much. So expecting the same starters. I think they're comfortable with Grant. Grant's a pretty good post defender, even with the size. Their paint defense is really bad. Orlando is just matches up so strongly here. Tough to lay a big number for a road game. But I think Orlando dominates. We saw Marcus Bolden get the backup minutes. Expect him to kind of get those again. We saw Bertans also kind of mix in. We had an over on him that cash that was nice over the weekend. So he's kind of locked in. And then we'll see Bryce McGowan's for like their core guys. And as you mentioned, no G League guys is a pretty big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So we know we're going to get a lot of minutes, and B, if you are playing the blowout game, it can kind of pay off for you. Like there's a chance that these guys who are kind of like Trey Mann may have to play blowout if it kind of gets that far.
Yeah, without the G League guys, as you mentioned, just limited resources for them to go to. We kind of saw that with Memphis yesterday. They only had 9 available players, so kind of all the guys have decent floor and ceilings depending on the game flow and that. And yeah, Marcus Bolden. I was looking at him. I hadn't seen his name in a while, and reminded that he played with the Cavs back in like 2019, 2020, and his only career points have come with the Cavs. So interesting to see him back. But he only has 48 career minutes in the NBA, so I do think. If Grant Williams starts, which we're expecting him to, he should get up there as long as he can avoid foul trouble. All right, let's move along to the Atlanta Hawks at New York Knicks. It is a front end of a back-to-back for Atlanta. The Hawks remain without Trae Young and Onyeka Okongwu, and then also have some G League tags out here with AJ Griffin, Mo Guy, Vic Krejci, and Seth Lundy all out for the G League. And then Kobe Buffkin was initially listed questionable with left big toe soreness, but is now ruled out. And then Dylan Windler, who they recently signed to a 2-way deal, he is listed available for the Hawks. So pretty much the only new out tag here is Kobe Buffkin. Where do you expect the minutes to go that he was taking? And then any chance that we see a Dylan Windler performance tonight for the Hawks?
Yeah, they definitely could get Dylan in there. I think Trent Forrest, we saw him get his contract converted after he hit his 2-way max earlier this year. So he should be good and should be in the rotation. I would expect him to pick up most of the non-DeJounte minutes with maybe a little bit of overlap there. But then, yeah, DeJounte's going to play a ton if they could kind of hang around in this game. And the other issue, coming off 2 really bad losses against the Nets, I know you felt that firsthand. But, we've been waiting for the DeAndre Hunter starting thing to happen. I don't know if it's going to happen, but if not now, when? After you lose these 2 games to a Nets team that freaking lost to Memphis yesterday. So kind of keep an eye on that. Quinn's been talking up Hunter a lot. I think that they want to kind of keep it there, but, coming off those losses, I think that's on the table. Bogdan also playing with a hand injury. That was noted on the Atlanta Hawks broadcast. He's not listed with that, but shooting hand. He's had some really bad games lately. I don't know if that's why, but shooting hand, you could kind of piece it together there. So just kind of a random note as well. And then, Garrison Matthews is in there, all that good stuff. But and then we're going to see a bunch of minutes. Jalen Johnson, they like playing him at the 5 when they need to. Tougher to do this spot against the Knicks. With the Knicks, no matter who they put in there, they tend to rebound the ball pretty well. Not so much lately, but in general.
Yeah. If DeAndre Hunter were to go into the starting lineup, do you think it would be at the expense of Bogdan or Sadiq Bey, or who do you think would be the most likely out? Okay.
It'd be Bey, yeah.
Sounds good. Okay. And then on the Knicks side, we have another big injury to deal with as well. Jalen Brunson is listed questionable after that scary knee injury early in the Cavs game on Sunday. He is listed with a left knee contusion. So by all things considered, kind of the best case scenario here for Brunson, might not even miss a game after that scary injury. Then the Knicks will obviously still be without OG Anunoby, Julius Randle, and Mitch Robinson, who are all still out. So any insight here on Brunson, and if he does play, any potential minutes limitation, or just kind of where do you see the Knicks going with Brunson at this stage?
Yeah, we saw it look terrible, right? We were like, oh no, he's going to miss. The Knicks were starting to lose some games. And then, yeah, they had a really nice win with a lot of injuries, losing their opening night starting 5. But yeah, don't have a great read on it. X-rays are negative. They're kind of further evaluating him. We haven't heard much. But really the tenor around the beat is he's got a decent chance to play, probably game time. But it did look terrible, so I think he's got a decent chance to miss if he doesn't play. Deuce McBride, who 47 minutes off the bench has to be a record. I don't even need without overtime. Pure Tibbs mode, man. We have 41 minutes for Josh Hart. I think it's the highest we've ever gone this year after he plays 45, triple-double in the last game. So he's playing a ton. Dante played a bunch. Hartenstein's minutes, he got dinged up as well. He should be good to go. And then we saw a little bit more small ball. We saw them run Boyan at the 4 a little bit more. So kind of noting that we took a little bit. We saw Precious play like 40s. So we've got him pretty light. We've got him like 24 or 23, which is way down from where we were like this time last week when they started feeling injuries. So noting that. But yeah, still expecting the same starters. Expect Precious to start there. Yeah, don't have too much. I think it mostly covers it.
Yep, sounds good. Yeah, Josh Hart, 41 minutes projection. That has to be the highest just in general for us in the regular season, I think, at least since I've been on board at ETR. We rarely ever go that high, but Josh Hart was averaging 40.1 minutes per game in like 12 games without, this trio and with Jalen Brunson heading into last game, and then he plays 45 and might be without Brunson tonight. So the minutes could just continue to be outrageous for Josh Hart and producing. I mean, a massive triple-double there against the Cavs. And good to see Deuce McBride have that game. And in Ohio, he's a Cincinnati guy, so I'm sure grew up rooting for the Cavs. So fun to see him get that performance in Cleveland. Okay, let's move along to another big Eastern Conference matchup with several injury questions on both sides, and that is the Boston Celtics at Cleveland Cavaliers. It is the front end of a back-to-back for Cleveland, an island game for Boston as they are on the start of a 5-game road trip that is pretty tough. They get the Cavs tonight, Nuggets Thursday, Suns Saturday. So a big 3-game stretch coming up here for Boston, and then the road trip ends with Blazers and Jazz. So tough front end here, but on the Celtics side, Jaylen Brown is questionable with left knee contusion, and Kristaps Porzingis is questionable with a left quad contusion. We have some G League tags out here, but no one that really gets into the rotation for Boston, so we can kind of skip over that. Porzingis missed the last game, the Celtics drubbing of the Warriors on Sunday, while Jaylen Brown played and played extremely well. So any insight here on Jaylen Brown and Porzingis and their potential availability tonight against the Cavs?
Yeah, someone fell into Jaylen Brown's knee over the weekend, limped off, and looked fine. He was red hot to start the game, and then he got pulled out when they pulled everyone when they were up by 50 for their biggest halftime lead in franchise history. But think he's going to play. Not confident. They've been trying to pick their spots at this national TV game. It is not a back to back. They've got a pretty soft part of their schedule game count wise, so I think he's in. Kristaps also been missing some time for injury, getting ruled out early-ish. So he's probably more likely to miss than Jaylen Brown is. And then, if he's out, it's obviously going to be Al Horford. Al Horford probably starting regardless. If one of these guys misses, they would just kind of run a bigger lineup. The Cavs play pretty big, kind of easy game. So, like I said, it'll be Horford benefiting regardless. We'll see a little bit more. If, one or both miss, more Pritchard, a little more, maybe we'll see, a little more Sam Hauser and those guys, but it would probably tighten up. And then, maybe the spread will tighten a little bit. I think it's 9.5, 8.5, 9 now. So maybe that'll help if they're both out, but but not really too much to take away. Like obviously Tatum's role will get a lot bigger. We'll talk about who's going to guard him on the other end. And then Jrue Holiday, Derek White would benefit shots, all the kind of standard stuff we go over.
Yeah, and then the Celtics added that depth at the deadline there with Jaden Springer and Xavier Tillman, so they'd be available off the bench as well and might see a few more minutes. They got some blowout time last game to get their feet wet. Haven't really been a crucial part of the rotation at this point for Boston, but I'm sure Boston, as we are, have that Thursday game circled against the Nuggets. So if they are kind of 50-50 on Brown or Porzingis, maybe they sit tonight and load up for Thursday against the Nuggets. I would even personally like to see that, especially as a Cavs fan. But the Cavs are dealing with multiple injuries on their side as well. Unfortunately, Donovan Mitchell is going to be out at least 3 more games. He got his left knee or his knee drained after some swelling there. Max Strus is out with a right knee strain. Hate to see strain listed on the injury report for Strus. That is not great for the Cavs. And then Isaac Okoro and Karis LeVert are questionable here, both with elbow sprains. So the Cavs could potentially be down tons of minutes here tonight. I mean, if Okoro and LeVert are out, that would be, I don't know, upwards of 130 combined minutes that we project for those 4 players that would be out. So kind of let you take it away here on the Cavs with what you're expecting without Mitchell and Strus to start, and then we can talk about if Okoro and LeVert miss, who that would benefit the most.
Yeah, we don't have Cavs Twitter starters jersey yet, so we'll keep our eyes peeled there. So let's start with the Q tags in situation. We know they like Karis LeVert off the bench. So I think that there's 2 candidates to start. That would be Dean Wade and Sam Merrill. Sam Merrill got talked up after the last game, was really good, especially early in this game against the Knicks. But you're playing Boston. Do you want to start Darius Garland and Sam Merrill in the backcourt when you're going against Derek White, Jrue Holiday, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum? I don't. So we've seen them start Dean Wade to 3 before. And they played Dean Wade 3 a little bit next to George Niang, next to the two bigs as well. So I think they start Dean Wade and they put him on Jason Tatum. Isaac Okoro, if he can go, would be guarding Jaylen Brown, and then they would have Evan Mobley guarding Drew Holiday. We know Drew Holiday is kind of functioning like almost like a power forward from an offensive standpoint, and they'll guard each other. I think Drew guards Mobley on the other end too. And then, Derek White and Garland will be matching up there. So I think that makes sense to me. But obviously, we'll still see a pretty good amount of Merrill. So talking through some of the out situations, if they aren't starting Okoro, then, they have to start Dean Wade for his spot just because they're going to need the on-ball defense. And then they're probably going to Merrill there. Wouldn't be totally shocked if they, abandon ship on we're bringing Karras off the bench every game because, you're just running out of bodies here without Max Strus. Donovan, should have mentioned Donovan got PRP treatment. As you mentioned, he's going to miss the rest of this week, possibly more time. It was funny, a Knicks beat thought he was going to play against the Cavs yesterday, but I digress. So, that would be a guy who benefits. Obviously, Craig Porter Jr., he'd be getting minutes. We've got him for minutes either way. A candidate to start too. He's kind of guarded on ball. They Bickerstaff's talked up his defense. I think he's honestly as likely to start as Sam Merrill is, just because again, you just need on ball defense in a really big way. Garland's huge role. He's driving more. His touch is going to be massive. Boston leads the NBA in catch off dribble threes allowed. So you may see a certain parlay on TNT that has Garland threes on it.
Love it.
Shout out to Lefko. Anything did you want to add there? I think, but yeah, it's just a lot. It don't really have any context on those elbow injuries besides LeVert missing some time earlier, getting ruled out pretty early here. Don't have much context on Okoro. As the Cavs fan, do you have anything you want to add to what I have?
I totally agree on your starter totem pole there. I think Dean Wade is clearly the most likely to start. I would be pretty shocked if Sam Merrill started. Honestly, I think they really like his scoring punch just off the bench. I do think if both Okoro if Okoro is out, I do think LeVert is the most likely to start, kind of ahead of Sam Merrill and behind Dean Wade. I think Dean Wade will pretty much be in there regardless, especially if we see on the Boston side that they're without Jaylen Brown and Al Horford starts next to Porzingis. I think the Cavs will definitely lean into the bigger lineup and start Wade at the 3. So I agree with you there. I do think Craig Porter Jr. is interesting to watch off the bench, especially if Karis LeVert is out. We've really seen his minutes climb when they're without multiple ball handlers. So if Donovan Mitchell was out and Karis LeVert was out, and Max Strus even does some handling and screening with Jared Allen. So I think Craig Porter Jr. minutes would rise especially if LeVert was out. Because again, Merrill is just pretty much purely an off-ball shooter. They don't really rely on him for handling at all. So a lot of different ways this can go. But yeah, I think you broke it down perfectly. I don't really have any extra insight on Okoro and LeVert and their potential to play tonight. Would mostly be expecting them to go at this point, but maybe the Cavs just kind of punt this game against the Celtics, without Strus and Mitchell here.
Yeah, and I'll add, if the books won't move the line, but if Okoro gets ruled out and everyone's in, it's a huge deal. He's number one in pick and roll handler defense. They need on-ball defense. I think Okoro is super valuable for this matchup, and taking him out, if he gets ruled out, the line maybe moves a half point. I think he's worth more. So, if you don't have to even be quick, they're not going to move the line for Okoro, but I think his impact in this game is really, really big. But yeah, very non-competitive kind of vibes. They might just punt this one off. Sorry, TNT.
For sure. All right. Lots to digest there, but I think we did a good job covering most of it all. Let's move along to the Detroit Pistons at Miami Heat. A relatively quiet game here tonight as the Pistons have Quentin Grimes doubtful to play, and then 4 G League out tags that we don't necessarily have to worry about at this point. And then on the Heat side, they can continue to deal with a cluster of injuries. Tyler Hero, Kevin Love, Josh Richardson, Drew Smith all remain out. And then Alondas Williams and Jamal Cain are out on G League assignment. Caleb Martin is listed available. So on the Pistons side, what do you see happening without Quentin Grimes? Do you think those minutes mostly go to Malachi Flynn, or will they just kind of spread it out and maybe tighten the rotation down to more of a 9-man?
Yeah, it would probably be a little bit more Fournier. He'd be mixed in there. We know they run Fontecchio as a 3-man. They like Fontecchio, man. There was commentary from Monty Williams that they'll kind of feature him more in the second unit, mixing him in with the top unit as well. They're still trying to find more minutes from him, and we've seen the Weissman minutes come down a little bit. So Weissman's kind of getting squeezed a bit by Fontecchio because they want to play Isaiah Stewart, playing Stewart at the 5. We saw that more last game. So that's something to watch there. But they're going to continue to start the same group, Cade, Jay, Nivey, Asar. Shout Asar with the rebounding. We had a rebound line that barely got there over the weekend. And then, Duran at the 5 spot. Fontecchio locked and loaded. I think Weissman's still squeezing in there. And Marcus Sassi, we saw him return and play pretty strong minutes. It was aided by garbage time a little bit, but he's looks to be locked and loaded. So that's kind of where we're at here with these guys. It is a not at front end. They play again on Thursday. So a little bit concerning to see Grimes get the doubtful tag for an injury that's been plaguing him for like most of all of 2024.
For sure. Yeah, island game for both of these teams. And as I mentioned, Caleb Martin is listed available for the Heat. Do you still expect Nikola Jovic to draw the start for Miami tonight against the Pistons?
Mm-hmm. Why not? They're big. They're playing great. Their defense has been really strong. So I'd be pretty surprised here. Don't have too much to add. Expecting Orlando Robinson to play the backup 5 again without Kevin Love, and then Highsmith, Caleb, Jaime off the bench. So basically running it back here. Don't really have anything to add other than Miami's playing great.
For sure. Yeah, this is the highest spread of the night currently at the moment. I think Heat are about 11.5 point favorites. So potentially some garbage time here for DFS later, even though it is a juicy matchup against the Pistons defense. All right, let's move along to the New Orleans Pelicans at Toronto Raptors. The Pelicans are without Dyson Daniels after meniscus surgery, and then Malcolm Hill, EJ Liddell, and Darion Sebron all out on G League assignments. Cody Zeller still getting this available tag with his mask, so got to shout that out. Any news or notes you want to hit on the Pelicans with a relatively clean injury report?
No, they had a practice yesterday. There's very little to add here. They're pretty much good to go. Jose Alvarado is, quote, their energy guy. We saw him basically kind of ice Jordan Hawkins. He's out of the rotation now. So the starters are the same. Trey Murphy's coming out of his slump a little bit. Him, Jose, Larry Nance, and Najee Marshall pretty much locked and loaded on their 9-man. Don't really have too much to add. And again, they should crush. They're 9.5 point spread here with a really banged up Toronto team. So, but hey, teams struggle with that international travel. So the home road splits on the Raptors. It's probably why.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Raptors depleted right now. They have 3 key players out of the rotation. Scotty Barnes is out with a left hand fracture that he just had surgery on, so potentially missing the rest of the season, likely to miss the rest of the season there for Scotty Barnes. Bruce Brown is out with right knee inflammation, and then Jakob Poeltl is out with a left pinky finger dislocation. So let's start with Scotty Barnes here as the focal point of the Toronto offense without Pascal Siakam. What do you think they do to replace him in the starting rotation? And kind of who do you expect to see the biggest bumps and role?
Yeah, we got a huge minutes out of Ochai Agbaji over the weekend. We had him, I think, for 26 minutes, and he crushed us. Big shot volume as well. Got talked up a little bit after the game. He had the podium game as well. Hit some shots. But so pretty much running back those 4, IQ, Ochai, RJ Barrett, Gary Trent in like a kind of a smaller-ish lineup. I don't think they would go. It's tough to do that, especially against Zion. Maybe they go to Jordan Noir here, not too sure. And then without Jakob Poeltl, quite obviously they're going to start Kelly Olynyk. I'd be pretty surprised if they didn't do that. One of the surprises was Jonte Porter getting the minutes over Chris Boucher. He is dead. And then we saw Grady Dick had minutes are safer. We saw DJ Carton kind of slot in rotationally for Bruce Brown's minutes. That was a mild surprise. They still have Javon Freeman Liberty, who just got converted as well. So we gave him like some scrap minutes. Wouldn't be surprised if he gets in there. But we know, like, again, the starters are pretty, I feel pretty good about them just because he played so much Ochai, but it could, maybe they go bigger and start Nwora. I don't really think they're going to, but so that starting group, Nwora, Jonte, Grady Dick, Carton, and maybe Freeman Liberty gets in there if they did want to go bigger. Or bigger as far as like more rotation players.
Yeah, and with Toronto, I wouldn't be shocked to see kind of the end of rotation mixed up a little bit as they're pretty much in pure evaluation mode at this point with the current state of the roster. So down the stretch, if those kind of 7 through 10 guys are flipped around a little bit, that wouldn't be shocking. But I do think would you say Grady Dick is the safest minutes floor off the bench at this point? And then with Olynyk moving into the rotation, it might be Nwora as the second there.
Yeah, I think so. I think Dick's minutes are about as solid as you can get. So don't have, yeah. They've
with
been playing a pretty consistent, pretty long rotations too.
Boucher in the doghouse and Jonte Porter, not necessarily an NBA caliber player. What do you think the minute ceiling is on Olynyk tonight, assuming he draws a start?
If it's close too, yeah, he can play a lot, man. I think he can play like 32, 33. We saw some long rotations from him at times. We saw him start the second half when Scotty first went down, and then they obviously went a different route here. But
Hmm.
yeah, I think he's got 33, 34 upside, maybe more. Darko's kind of gone kind of Tibbsian with his minutes at times.
I would imagine he's going to be a strong DFS play tonight, projection wise, and
Mhm.
salary probably hasn't caught up. And then for anyone in the home stretch of their season long leagues, I bet he'd be a pretty solid pickup at this point
Mhm.
of the season as well. Can kind of contribute in all areas for a big man. So will be
Mhm.
interesting to see how the Raptors move forward, and we'll see how long Pirtle is out too. But yeah,
Yeah.
Kelly Olynyk, decent upside here, I think, sliding into the starting lineup. Okay, let's move along to next game on the docket, which is the Philadelphia 76ers at the Brooklyn Nets. This is a back-to-back for both teams, front end for
Mhm.
Philly, back end for Brooklyn, who had a tough loss against the Grizzlies last night. On the 76ers side, lots of injury information to cover here. D'Anthony Melton, Robert Covington, and Joel Embiid all remain out. And then Tyrese Maxey was ruled out with concussion symptoms after he took, I believe, a knee or elbow to the head the other night and
Mhm.
was down for a while. Ended up coming back into the game, but has experienced concussion symptoms, so he is out. And then a couple questionable tags here. KJ Martin and Cam Payne are both questionable. Cam Payne, probably the more impactful of the two here, just with Tyrese Maxey out, his role should expand. So any insight here on
Yeah.
Cam Payne and KJ Martin's questionable tags?
Yeah, let's go with Maxi. He got rocked, man. He was
Mm-hmm.
down for a couple minutes. I was surprised he even came back in the game. Not listed at all. Totally Sixers move. So now he's out. Going not far to travel, going from Brooklyn to Philly. There, they are in a back-to-back. They get Memphis tomorrow, so we'll see if he can clear. So we're expecting a starting lineup of Kyle Lowry at the 1, Buddy Hield at the 2, Kelly Oubre, Tobias Harris, and then Mo Bamba after the game in a pretty big win against Dallas. In Dallas, Nick Nurse said that they thought the starting lineup looked good, but they are going to evaluate it more. Obviously, they were assuming Maxi here. So I feel pretty good that that's the starting lineup. If they went another way, maybe they elevate Cam Payne and play Lowry at the 2. I don't think that makes much sense. I think that they trust Tobias, and even Buddy to go with additional handling. I think they've got enough. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't think you need to add more handling. So I feel pretty good. They were already like and maybe they go with maybe they swap out Batum, who was like pretty impactful with his passing down the stretch. He had a couple really nice key passes, a couple to Tobias, to kind of ice the game. So maybe he moves in there just to kind of be a steadying force. They love him for on ball defense as well. He guards point guards a ton. But that's where we're at for now. I think that kind of makes sense. Kind of insulates you a little bit on the center minutes. We saw them close small in the last game there. So the starters plus, Paul Reed will be off the bench. Mentioned Batum. We've got Ricky Council in there. Should mention KJ Martin got downgraded. He was downgraded to questionable earlier. So good chance he misses there, which would up Ricky Council's minutes to kind of tighten it up here. And if they miss campaign, they'd have to probably bring in Drakravion Smith. They might play like Tobias at the point. We know that was a
Mm-hmm.
Doc Rivers. That was like a Doc Rivers go-to when they were short handling. Actually, Doc hasn't done it. Nurse hasn't done it much. But we'd be giving Trakravion Smith minutes for sure. But that camp, and then it's Nick Nurse, man. He'll play his guys 40. Maxi too, right? You got so many minutes, so much usage to fill. The Nets have been pretty vulnerable on defense at times, and they're tired legs back to back. So there's kind of a lot of fantasy upside here from an opportunity and matchup standpoint.
Yeah, you mentioned the ways it could get even tighter tonight if Payne and or KJ Martin are out, and we've seen Lowry play 36 minutes and 33 minutes in his last two starts. So without
Yep.
Maxi here, he could really get up there too. So the acquisition kind of paying off immediate dividends for Philly here, being able to trot out Lowry to operate the offense. And you mentioned kind of
Mm-hmm.
Tobias becoming more of a secondary ball handler, and then Buddy Hield in there a little bit as well. So some potential fantasy goodness tonight for the Sixers, and could even get tighter depending on how that injury news shakes out. On the Brooklyn side, I mentioned second night of the back-to-back for them. They are without several players. G League out tags on Jacob Gilliard, Keon Johnson, and Jalen Martin, and then injury out tags for Daron Sharp, Ben Simmons, Cam Thomas, and Dariq Whitehead. And then Lonnie Walker is questionable here with a left ankle sprain. Lonnie continues to get banged up. So any insight here on Lonnie Walker? And then Daron Sharp here is the new out tag as the backup center. So if you could talk about Lonnie's potential to play tonight, and then who you expect to fill the backup center minutes in place of Sharp.
Yeah, so Daron Sharp, elbow injury last night. It sounded pretty, unlikely for him to play. Gets ruled out early, and then Lonnie Walker had his ankle iced. We saw him tweak it early. He was limping. Another guy that I expected to sub out. He stayed in there. Was limping in the locker room after the game. So he said he expects to play, but we'll see. If he's out, they'd probably tighten. We'd see a lot more Jalen Wilson minutes. We'd see more. We've seen some double Dennis overlap at times there, so those guys benefit. Trendon Watford probably playing regardless, and then it's noteworthy they called up Noah Clowney today, who plays for their Long Island team. So we got minutes for him. So far, Kevin Ollie has liked to play big. We usually see it's a little bit tied to No Ben, but we usually see Claxton and Sharp cover most of their center minutes. So that's kind of a big deal. We've got, just I think like 5 or 6 minutes for Clowney. It's not much. So it wouldn't move the needle. But the headline would be, Claxton could play a lot, and their interior defense on Philly could be really, really soft. Bamba's been better than Paul Reed has been. But Claxton would be in a huge spot. Pretty big minute ceiling out of these guys. We've seen Dennis Schroeder play a ton. He would benefit a little bit just because, again, they would overlap the Dennises. So, lot going on here. They're really shorthanded. Cam Thomas got ruled out early again. So they are, Dorian Finney-Smith's playing a lot. Cam Johnson playing a lot of minutes now. So he's he's really benefited since, to me, the clear winner from the Cam Thomas injury has been Cam Johnson. He's been shooting the ball better, more volume, more touches. On-ball rolls actually grown a little bit too. So Cam Johnson's in a pretty good spot.
Nice. Yeah, this is another spot where, as you mentioned, things could really condense if Lonnie Walker's out, and just with already their allotment of out tags here, we could see Dennis Smith Jr. get up to the low to mid 20s off the bench. I agree. He and Jalen Wilson would be most likely to pick up the minutes if Lonnie were to miss. So some potential fantasy goodness as well with both of these teams kind of struggling defensively, and then with a potentially tightened rotation on both sides as well. So certainly a situation to watch. Let's move.
A question on trust and chat about Mikel under game.
Mm-hmm.
That was a Jacques Vaughn thing, man. So he gone. I don't think Kevin Ollie is interested in playing that game. He's a little more no nonsense.
Yeah, Mikhail was grabbing at his right wrist, hand a little bit last night, but not listed on the injury report. So would expect the Iron Man streak to continue for him. But yeah, I think, should be good to go. Hopefully no late downgrades there. But as Drew noted on a couple shows yesterday, the Nets play 5 games this week. So it's a loaded week for them. I could potentially see some, roster shenanigans just going down on them in general, especially with all these Q tags and injuries going on with them. So just a situation to continue to monitor. Mm-hmm. All right, let's move to the Western Conference, where we've got the Spurs at Houston Rockets. It is a front end for a back-to-back for Houston. Island game for the Spurs here. But big tags here on the San Antonio side. Julian Champagny is questionable with a right ankle sprain, and then Victor Wembanyama gets a questionable tag with left shoulder soreness. Obviously, Wembanyama Q tag is massive here. So what have you seen on his potential availability tonight, and any other insight here on the Spurs?
Yeah, let's start with a really big tag here. Let's start with Julian Champagny. No, kidding. Wemby picked up the shoulder injury. Was no real talk from it. Popovich, a 3.5 minute presser after a 17-second presser 2 games ago. Don't have much of a read here. Obviously, if he didn't play, that would be. It looks like he might play. Going to be a game time decision. If he doesn't play, it'll be Zach Collins. Worth noting, the last 2 games, they haven't been listing Dominic Barrow as questionable because they have more games. They have more G League games available than they have games left. So he could play every game now without the two-way restrictions. So probably done seeing the Dominic Barrow Q tags, I would assume. We saw Malachi, and that's all kind of what I have. He was just freaking great. All the Wemby talk after the game was just like how awesome he was. Mm-hmm. So very little context other than getting dinged up, yada yada. But seems like he's going to play. My best ball teams who are Wemby-less are hoping he doesn't. because he's just smashing. Dink and I did a pod yesterday talking about how insane he's been. Like his last 8 games, he's first in FanDuel scoring. It's freaking nuts when he's only playing like 30 a game. But so yeah, Zach Collins would start, Dominic Barlow behind him. Pretty straightforward to fill in the Wemby out. So, and then more usage, man. There would be so much usage to go around. He is just firing away here.
Yeah.
So yeah, no Champagny. Yeah, no Champagny would be Malachi Branham starting again. Keldon also benefited. Keldon coming around after the quote repetitive mistakes against Utah, where he only played 4 minutes. So he's kind of back in their good graces as well. And just random note, man, there are a lot of 7:30 games today. We are going to be cracking when we get news for that.
I know it's gonna be a night with a lot of if thens for sure for me, as I'm on minutes tonight, so I'm gonna get cracking on those right after we're out here. But yeah, the question to who will benefit if Wembanyama misses, it's everyone. It's pretty much everyone. So you could imagine, Devin Vassell and probably Tyus Jones get the biggest bump. Sohan and you mentioned Keldon Johnson there. It would pretty much get distributed to everyone. And that Dominic Barlow note is certainly interesting. He's off the injury report. So if Wembanyama did miss, we would expect probably Zach Collins to start and then Barlow to take up the backup center minutes there. And I'm actually really curious to see if Wembanyama misses tonight, what happens to the spread. It's currently 7.5 points in favor of Houston. And like we've seen guys like Embiid, some of the best players in the league, Jokic, be 4, 5, 6 point differences in the spread. I'm really interested to see if Wembanyama misses, how much the spread moves just based on how dominant he's been. And if he does miss, that's a boost to the entire Rockets offense as well, as the Spurs have been the worst defense in the NBA without Wembanyama on the floor this season. So if he misses, just a slight bump to all of the Rockets players as well offensively.
Yeah, and random, I got the notification that the Memphis Grizzlies today announced the following medical updates, which is always bad news. It is Zaire Williams. He's basically out for the season now, evaluated in 4 weeks with a hip flexor. Derrick Rose also out for at least 3 weeks. So he's out for the season. So, yeah, but they are running out of bodies here.
That's crazy.
Every time I see that on my phone, I'm like, oh, God, what now? And, more bad news.
Yeah, that's brutal. We'll transition that to other sad news of a season ending, and that's Tari Eason out for the season on the Rockets side after undergoing surgery on his leg. This was an injury that was kind of mysterious. He was, questionable, getting limited on back-to-backs, kind of playing through the pain, he said, and now, he's going to miss the rest of the season with leg surgery. So shout out to Tari Eason, one of the more exciting young players in the league. So hopefully he makes a full recovery and is back to his full form next season. The Rockets are also without Steven Adams, Nate Hinton, and Jermaine Samuels, but this is kind of the injury report we've seen for a while here on Houston. Anything you want to add before their matchup with the Spurs?
Yeah, just Jalen Green's back to life. Been playing pretty well lately. Even with Amen Thompson, looked like he was coming for minutes. I had mentioned, in spots, 5-6 games ago that he was in jeopardy of losing his starting job. I think he's back. Udoka had mentioned that he's like kind of seeing the game better again, so it looks to be pretty safe. Fred VanVleet's minutes, we saw him, hang around the 30s when he was mid 30s. He's back up to the 40s, so we've got him back to 37 minutes, pretty full for him. And then Cam Whitworth's minutes have kind of been really cut down. Dylan Brooks avoiding foul trouble. Jabari Smith playing a ton of minutes. Need it for the best ball. He's in one of my DK teams. I need him to have a really big game there. So, and then Şengün's minutes have been like fine. We haven't seen like big minutes out of him lately too often. But the matchup would be really good, especially if Wemby did miss this one.
Yeah, definitely. Sounds like for the best ball bags, you're rooting for Wemby to miss, and that would help help out your Rockets guys, and also since you don't have Wemby, obviously big questionable tag there just to impact the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move along to second to last game of the night, and that's the Indiana Pacers at Dallas Mavericks. Tyrese Halliburton versus Luka Doncic matchup here. I hope that Luka plays. He's questionable on that side, but on the Pacers side, Ben Shepherd and Aaron Nesmith draw questionable tags here. Shepherd with an illness that caused him to miss last game, and then Nesmith with a left quad bruise. Nesmith had returned and played 2 games after he missed 4 games with a different injury. So any insight here on Nesmith's potential availability to play as he kind of battles through this injury bug?
Yeah, new injury for him. Went through shoot around. Was getting shots up. Saw some videos from some beats. He's looks to be good. Ben Shepherd also in Dallas. Looks to be in there. Expecting the same starting lineup here. Halliburton, Nembhard, Aaron Nesmith, Miles Turner, and then Pascal Siakam. TJ McConnell, awesome off the bench, man. 26 points, kept a minute there. We saw a lot of overlap. We saw him basically close with Halliburton there as he cut down Andrew Nemhard's minutes quite a bit. Ben Mathurin, we got lucky on an over on him recently. So yeah, that's and then Obi Toppin's minutes have been kind of meh. They need a little bit of Jalen Smith. We'll see if they run small against teams like to play small against Dallas. So it could be a sneaky Obi game, could be, but always risk because the bottom could drop out here. But yeah, expecting them to have most of their guys available. Shepherd coming back would take a little bit of upside off Mathurin, a little bit of upside off some other guys. We saw Pascal Siakam could play a bunch here. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. But so expecting them to have their Q tags in.
Sounds good. Yeah, it's been a tough stretch here for the Pacers. 2 tough losses in a row at the Pelicans. They got smacked, and then obviously losing to the Spurs on the road. Not a great loss, even though the Spurs are trending upwards. But yeah, Indy could use a big bounce back game here and there. About 4-point dogs on the road right now against the Mavs, but the Mavs have several questionable tags to deal with as well. Luka Doncic questionable with a right ankle sprain, Derek Jones Jr. questionable with a left shoulder strain, and then Maxi Kleber is questionable with left knee soreness. So different tag here for Kleber, as he's been typically tagged with that toe dislocation, and now it's listed with knee soreness. So that kind of caught my eye a little bit. And then we have Derek Lively listed available with a nasal fracture, so he'll be in there. But any news and notes on Luka and what to expect from him tonight after this ankle sprain?
Yeah, Luka tweaked it last game. Right ankle. He has had some right ankle history. This is the same ankle he hurt back in January, cost him 3 games. He hurt it again last month. He hurt it March 2023, August 2022 for the FIBA. That looked terrible. He's hurt his right ankle. I stopped looking. I was like, okay, he has a serious right ankle history. So could see him missing this game. It's not a back-to-back. He just plays through everything, though, so I would expect him to play. But this is not a BS tag for sure. And then, yeah, Kid didn't have much context. He opened his presser saying, Derek Jones Jr., Maxi Kleber, and Luka are questionable. And that was really all he was. I wish they got more questions out of him, but that was really all. So not too much to add. Again, new injuries, as you mentioned, from Maxi Kleber and Derek Jones Jr. Derek Jones Jr. wouldn't be too big of an impact. He did play more last game because they didn't have they kind of went to him pretty heavy there and some smaller stuff. They've closed with more PJ a little bit late. Anyways, so yeah, don't have a great read on these. We'll see if we get more as the day goes on.
If Luka misses, who would you expect to get in the starting lineup? Do you think Dante Exum would get back in there? Do you think they'd start Tim Hardaway Jr. for the offense? Who do you think would be most likely to replace Luka?
Yes, substitute teacher season. I think they would start Tim Hardaway Jr. In that spot there. But they didn't have Exum when they were calling him substitute teacher, so maybe it is him. He's been subbing in behind Luka. I don't think they want to up his minutes that much, though. We've seen have a pretty big minutes cap there, so I think it would be THJ. But yeah, not a lot of confidence to me there. And they could even start Derek Jones Jr. He's had some starts at the 3 as well, so I think it would be between. I don't think they would want to start Exum off the bat.
Yeah, and then just a note on Derek Jones Jr. It is his left shoulder, which is his shooting shoulder, so a little bit more important there for airplane mode. Maybe he takes the night off, but yeah, certainly some injuries to watch here because 3 key rotation players for the Mavericks. So if all of them are out, a lot of minutes to fill, but likely a couple of them suiting up tonight. All right, let's move along to the last game of the night. It is a pretty big island game. As you mentioned, the slate is heavily tilted towards early games tonight, and then we kind of have the Phoenix Suns at Denver Nuggets on their own at 8 o'clock Mountain Time, 10 o'clock Eastern Time. Tonight on the Sun side, we have Devin Booker listed out along with Nasir Little, Josh Okogie, and Damian Lee. And then Yusuf Nurkic was listed questionable, but you mentioned he was upgraded to available. So we will expect to see him tonight after his 31 rebound game. I actually had in my season-long league, a 9-cat where I was trailing all week and needed all 31 boards to win 5-4 in my 9-cat week. I won the last category by 1 rebound. Shout out to Nurkic. So that was a pretty exciting come from behind victory, but I digress. Mike, what do you think we should expect from the Suns tonight without Devin Booker, who's, the main out tag here?
Yeah, man. Friendly fire weekend really caught them. We saw Devin Booker step on Royce O'Neal's leg. He's out for at least a week. We saw Josh Okogie and Nurk collide. Okogie's out. Nurk is in now. So and Royce was limping. There was concern he may have missed the Sunday game. So yeah, that's pretty rough that you have back-to-back friendly fire games with all 4 players being affected injury, including your most. I mean, I'm going to say Devin Booker is the Suns' most important player. Durant's been bad, man. Like they were terrible with Durant. His turnovers have been really bad lately. His shooting's down. He's in a shooting slump as well. His free throw shooting's even down. He's down to like 75% or something.
Wow.
Post break. So yeah. So expecting the same. Bradley Beal's expected to still be on a minutes limit. We'll see. Frank Vogel said that the hardest thing as a coach is to play guys on a minutes limit because we know Beal wants to play more. They need him to play more. The role was pretty good here. So expecting Bradley Beal, Grayson, Royce, Kevin Durant, Nurk to start. Eric Gordon, minutes limit for him. Expecting that to be held in a little bit. They did get rid of Teo Maladon and brought back Ish Wainwright. We'll see if he finds minutes. I don't think so. They have David Roddy sneak in there. He was terrible. So maybe they play him over Roddy. That's Ish over Roddy. And then they need the size. They're going to have to play Eubanks. Maybe they go to Thad. We know teams like Thad for his post defense. I think Eubanks is terrible. So I think there's a chance that Thad could ice Eubanks here, even though Eubanks is bigger. So something to watch. They could run Thad as a 4 as well. So they've still got some bodies. It's just the high end talent on this team is just so empty. They need Kevin Durant to play like 42 minutes and play really well to have a chance here for these guys.
So no potential at big bowl revenge. Is that what you're telling me?
Oh
in Denver.
Yeah. Could get bowl. I mean, they need the size. We saw them run that really big front court against the Lakers, earlier last week. So I think that Bobo, I should have mentioned Bobo. He'll be in the rotation, but I don't know if they're going to play him too much because I mean, you don't want to put him out there against Joker.
For sure. And then with the Bradley Beal minutes limit, I mean, we can see on the screen here, he got up close to 34 minutes. So when you mention a minutes limit, do you think, it's likely kind of in that 32 to 35 range, probably not touching 36, but still meaningful enough minutes to, be a fantasy contributor at this point. But you kind of think the cap is probably right around that 34, 35 mark.
Yeah, I think he could get 36 though. The fact that he got 34 when it was back to back. So I think he's in a pretty good spot for, just not full, not because we know Vogel will play guys over 40. I think that's off the table, but I think he can maybe hit 36, 37. I think he's like basically off.
Cool. Yeah, this is a quick, just 1 game road trip for the Suns, and that they're at home against the Raptors on Thursday. So maybe a decent chance to extend minutes even at altitude for the Suns here without Devin Booker and Josh Okogie as well. On the Nuggets side, a clean injury report for them outside of Vlatko Konchar, who has been out all season after ACL surgery. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is back from personal reasons, and then no listing for Jamal Murray here. So pretty much full strength for the Nuggets. I thought there was a chance that Jamal might be somewhat held in check against the Lakers after he was dealing with that ankle sprain and the shin splints, but nope, he got up to 38 minutes. So a little bit my bad on the projection side there, but any notes to add for the Nuggets who are playing great basketball right now?
Yeah, let's talk Jamal Murray. Huge second half minutes. Malone said that he just rode him down the stretch for the full fourth to close it out. 20 drives for Murray as well. That's a really high number for him. He doesn't usually get upper teens even. So, he was just great, man. Obviously, Joker was the headline. And even Aaron Gordon was really good. This team's rolling, man. They are on a mission for the number 1 seed. They're playing, them and Boston are like clear. And the Bucks are playing like they're like the 3 teams just cruising right now. But KCP should be back. Justin Holiday, we'll see if he goes away. He got talked up a lot. So we could see. I wouldn't be surprised if Justin Holiday kind of like takes Peyton Watson out of the rotation because Holiday got talked up so much here there. So yeah, the starters will be good. Not too much else to add there. And I expect Denver to kind of crush here.
Yeah, it's a pretty high spread, up to 8.5 points at most spots right now in favor of the Nuggets. And, just with the Nuggets we saw last year post All-Star break, they really decided to turn it on to clinch that 1 seed. And then this year they entered the All-Star break on a 3-game losing streak. And I was just listening to Low Post Pod today, and he said that, Jokic sent out a message over All-Star break kind of saying we need to get our act together and tighten it up and really, play Nuggets brand of basketball. So they're doing just that. Yeah, absolutely screaming up the Western Conference standings right now, close to the number one seed again. So fun game tonight on TNT to close out the night. That will do it for us, Mike, unless you have any other news or notes, closing thoughts that you'd like to add.
No, just it's gonna be a mad dash with the 7:30 news games coming in. That's gonna be pretty fun to cover. So yeah, excited to break it down with Dink. We're gonna have to do a lot of if then scenarios, talk that over the show, so it should be fun.
For sure. Yeah. And Mike and Drew put out a good pod yesterday talking about Victor Wembanyama and LeBron James reaching 40,000 points. So highly recommend listening to that as well. But that will do it for this edition of the Established to Run NBA Injury Analysis Show. As always, we ask for your support in promoting this free content by liking the video and subscribing to our YouTube channel. It really does mean a lot to us at ETR to have your support. Feeding the algo helps feed our families and allows us to provide this type of insight for free on a daily basis. So please take a couple seconds and click the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not. We have a goal of reaching 5,000 subscribers and are only a few hundred away. So everyone out there counts. Please subscribe if you can. And then if you have interest in getting access to our behind the paywall content, as Mike said, he will be on the DFS show tonight with Drew Dinkmeyer. We have daily top plays, articles, Mike's matchups column on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, our props package that is off to hot start in March as well. So lots of great stuff going on at ETR. If you would like to support us with your hard-earned dollars, we love that as well. That will do it today for us. Tomorrow, I believe it will be Mike and Drew back on the sticks here for Wednesday. So everyone enjoy the 9-game slate out there tonight. Go Cavs. Talk to you guys soon. Have a good one.